few months ago, a few years ago maybe, there was a story about a butcher in Muncie that was Michael Nevelis Treifus, that intentionally gave people treif meat. And I remember I didn't sleep nights after I heard such a terrible story from a Yid. He davened 3 times a day, and he even gave a shiur in Daf HaYomi. And here he was caught selling treif meat. And I could never understand, how could that person live with his conscience? I mean, every day he functioned as a normal human being. It didn't seem that he was that he had guilt of anything of any sort, and I couldn't understand, and I felt very badly about such a thing. In Parshas Balak, we find even a more difficult concept about somebody who was doing something similar, about Bilam. Bilam had certain greatness to him. He was Shemea Imre Kale. He heard Hashem speaking, and he knew Das Elyon, he knew the knowledge of the Most High. Umachse Shakai Yechazeh, he saw some visions of Hashem. He was a Navi. He was a Navi. And he was a Navi on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. Chazal say, Lo kam Navi ka Moshe, but Be'umay Sa'olam kam Umanu Bilam. He was on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. And he knew Das Elyon, he knew the knowledge of the Most High. And nevertheless, when it came to his personal life, he was the lowest of low. The Oson, the donkey, said, Ani oise lecha, Gemara in Avodah Zarah, Ani oise lecha rechavis bayayim, v'ishis ba'loila. During the day, Bilam would ride on him. That was his vehicle of transportation. And at night, he lived. He had relations with this donkey. How could such a thing be? How could such a thing be? Where's his conscience? How could he do such a thing? Such a person that reached such greatness. I think the answer is by the butcher and by Bilam. The answer is, I think, as it says in Pirkei Avos, it says that Bilam had terrible, terrible midos. He had ayin hara, and nefesh rechava, and I think everything is possibly answered with these 2 points of his terrible midos. That this butcher probably had ayin ra. The Kahati brings down a translation of ayin ra, evil eye, and which means that he was greedy for money. And when a person is so greedy for money, he must have money. He doesn't. And then he probably would rationalize permitting him to do it. And he walks around as if nothing, no guilt feelings. Everything is fine. And that's the taiva of Mammon, the taiva of Mammon. And by Bilam, the Pirkei Avos says also that he had nefesh rechava, which Kahati translates, he was a Baal Taiva. And he was a Baal Taiva. He wanted to have relations with the donkey. And everything became, no matter how great he was, it just, this pull, this temptation that he had just brought him to probably rationalize his way out of it and say it's all permissible. And he lives with in a distorted thinking. Doesn't think straight. The butcher didn't think straight, and Bilam didn't think straight. When there's taivas pulling, the person has to rationalize and justify what he's doing, and can't see the truth. Can't see righteousness. Also, the Pirkei Avos brings another thing besides Ayin Ra and Nefesh Rachava. It says that Bilam had ruach of Gaiva, ruach. He had Nefesh Rachava is Taiva, and ruach Gavoha. He was a big Baal Gaiva. And we could see the fact that he was such a Baal Gaiva because when he came, when the people came to accompany Bilam to curse Klal Yisrael, he said, Me'ein Hashem, Hashem does not let me go with you. He said, Me'ein Hashem lisiti la'alechi mochem. Hashem does not let me go with you. And then Hashem told him clearly, Lo yisei lechi mohem. Don't go with them. Simple words. Don't go with them. And he went and misinterpreted it, as Rashi brings down. Me'ein Hashem lisiti la'alechi mochem. Hashem doesn't want me to go with you. Ella im sorim gedolim mikem. Hashem wants me to go with princes that are greater than you. So here's a taivas hakovet. He saw the Rebbeinu Shalom says don't go, and he misinterprets it to mean don't go with anybody, don't go with these people, but go with other people that are greater. So we see clearly from here that the butcher, who had Ayin Ra, who was greedy for money, apparently, that's our way of understanding it a little bit, just distorted his thinking. His whole Yiddishkeit, his whole davening, his whole shiurim that he gave, and everything. The main thing is that he has to have his taiva of Ayin Ra, his taiva of being greedy. That pulls him, and nothing else counts really. And he justifies himself in doing that. By Bilam was a nefesh rachava, as the Kahati translates in Pirkei Avos, that he was a big Baal Taiva, and apparently his living with his donkey was pulling him, that no matter what, he would all the das elyon and all the kedusha supposedly that he attained, just couldn't accomplish anything, because he had to have this taiva of his. And also the taiva of kavod. Hashem gives him a simple statement: don't go with them. And he misinterprets it to mean, don't go with them, but you have to go with with more princes, higher princes. He wanted that covered, and he misinterpreted totally what Hashem says. We see from here clearly, from all these cases, that a person that does not have Midas Tovos, a person has Midas Rois, his whole thinking process is distorted. He can't even think straight. He doesn't know if he's coming or going. The Eibishter should help us that we should be Zoicha to straighten out our Midos, and that's whose we'll be able to think straight and do whatever Hashem wants.